The world of Confucius, we must remember, was one in which there was a nearly complete breakdown of moral standards. Only in the performance of religious ceremonies could there still be found consistently a type of conduct regulated by a socially accepted norm of behavior in which men's actions were motivated by a pattern of cooperative action rather than swayed by the greed and passions of the moment. Psychologically, expansion depicts a state of inner pressure capable of fruitful resolution if it can be properly guided. The king in the image, in this case the ego, sacrifices for a high ideal, the good of the work. Legg's commentary tells us that the second sentence of the Confucian commentary literally begins, "The king is indeed in the middle." This suggests a combination of his second and third sentences into the paraphrase. The king steers a middle course when crossing the water to the ancestral temple. This gives the image of a vessel and the proper way to guide it toward a destination. Anyone who has ever steered a boat with a rudder knows that to overcorrect on either side is a mark of poor seamanship. The goal is to maintain a dynamic balance in our guidance of the work. Lines 2 and 5 represent proper course correction because they are both in the middle of their respective trigrams. Expansion is the inverse of the following hexagram: restrictive regulations. What is there confined and hoarded is here dispensed. But this dispensation must conform with the ultimate good of the work. Not just any release of tension will do, it must recombine itself into a new and better organization, as imaged in the fourth line. If this new order is a proper one, the released tension precipitates a catharsis as imagined in line 5. A quote from E.C. Whitmont in The Symbolic Quest: "The form, then, in which our complexes confront us is the form in which the fundamental materials of our human structure come into our here and now existence." Hello?
Are you almost done?
Yeah, baby. Like crystals, they are always imperfect to some extent and often unrecognizable or grossly disfigured in comparison with the ideal shape, the shape that would represent the pure incorporation of the crystal scheme. But we have to meet them in this more or less imperfect or distorted form, and out of this form, we have to transform them into something that may be more akin to the aboriginal intent inherent in their archetypal cores. This undertaking, this process, is what Jung calls individuation. So one thing that comes straight to mind reading through that again is that it's a situation where we are new, freshly born, and all of the things that we maybe once relied on and thought about as being solids in our life, whether that be morals, standards, people,